Something wild is happening in 2026. Americans are still moving to Canada thinking they're getting this peaceful, affordable paradise. And within months, they're running right back across the border as if their hair's on fire. Today, I'm gonna break down exactly why the Canadian dream is collapsing in real time, why housing prices here make New York seem more affordable, how the current tax structure totally wipes out your entire paycheck, and lastly, how our healthcare system here is so backlogged that Canadians are going across the border to the US for medical care. And to kick it off, here's a story that pretty much explains everything.
What the hell is going on in Canada right now? I am home visiting my parents this weekend for the holidays. I live in the West Village in New York City. The highest cost of living yuppie area ever in the history of the United States.
Yep.
I am never shocked when I get a dinner bill. I'm never shocked when I go on vacation. Nothing phases me. I've traveled all over the world. Tell me why I come home to Newmarket, Ontario, the suburbs of Toronto, and I'm shocked at the cost of living here. How are Canadian people making it work?
This is literally something I think about all the time. Like, how are people making it work, especially in GTA? If you have someone from Manhattan coming over to Toronto to visit, and he's complaining about the price of food and cost of living, man, it's getting bad. Here's one more.
So, I'm an American, and I've lived in all the big cities, New York, Boston, Chicago. But I just moved to Toronto for work, and guys, it's fucking expensive. Like, what's going on here?
I love this trend of Americans coming to Canada thinking they're going to get this rosy, amazing life. They get here and they realize it's not. It's more expensive, it's colder, it's crappier. The infrastructure is still just as bad, if not worse, than many of the major US cities, and their paycheck just goes nowhere. Cost of housing is so expensive, the cost of their paycheck is just going to everything. Like, they can't even keep up. And that's the life of Canadians. So, welcome to Canada. Welcome to the shithole. Welcome to the unaffordable mess. Welcome to liberal hell. But to show you just how bad it is, I'm going to give you some real data and show you how unaffordable Canada's becoming compared to New York. So I asked, what's the average monthly income after tax in New York? Very important, after tax, right? How much is rent for a one bedroom in NYC? And what's the percentage of income does rent make up? The average income is $6,664 a month after tax. So people in New York and Manhattan are making a lot of money. Obviously, they're in one of the best areas on the planet for career and jobs. The average one bedroom, though, is $4,020 a month. That's insanely expensive, which means rent makes up 60% of their income. Like, that's insane. You think it can't get any worse, right? You think it can't get any worse? Well, check this out. Here's the next one. For Toronto, I asked, what's the average income? All the same questions. The average income in Toronto is $4,267. Obviously lower, right? Because we're not in New York City. The average one bedroom is $4,500 a month, meaning rent makes up 105% of your income. Now, I just posted a long form video a couple of videos ago on this, breaking this down in much more detail. In the comments, I had a few people say, there's no way the rent is that much in Toronto. I live in Toronto. You can get a one bedroom for $2,000. Dude, I'm not talking about fucking Scarborough. I'm talking about downtown Toronto, just like I did for Manhattan. We're trying to do apples to apples. Sure, you can find units for a one bedroom apartment or a studio for $2,000, $2,500 on the outskirts of Toronto. I'm looking downtown, which is what the original prompt was for this on ChatGPT, showing that Toronto, downtown Toronto, is actually less affordable than Manhattan. That is crazy. Why? Well, dollar for dollar, it's not. Toronto's technically cheaper dollar for dollar. Yeah, but you got to extrapolate and look more into the data. People in New York City make more money. So you have to do apples to apples. And after taxes, the Americans actually make more in Manhattan. They take home more. They have a better quality of life, which is insane because we know New York State has crazy high taxes just like Toronto, and they're still getting off better. Now, it's easy to compare Toronto to Manhattan. Both places are loopy. They're out of touch. It's a major city. It's not really real life. Okay, let's make this worse. For those of you about to comment that, well, you can't just compare Toronto. You got to do all of Canada. Okay, I'm going to compare right now Kitchener, Ontario, a small town. Well, not really a small town. It's pretty big, but it's 1 hour south of Toronto. It's my hometown, right? It's a kind of major city for Ontario. Population is about 750,000 for the Tri-City area. So it's a major city. When it comes to America, we're in the top, like, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 cities of America. Kitchener-Waterloo would be that size. So let's compare a decent town to Manhattan still. Okay, so the average income is $76,000 a year. So I asked ChatGPT, how much does the household income make in Kitchener-Waterloo after taxes net net. I even stressed it twice. And what's the cost of living when accounting for someone's mortgage, cars, gas, insurance, everything, right? I want everything. And what does the percentage of that make up to their income? So the average household income, mom and dad working, right, is $76,500 a year after tax, which means they're probably making about $120,000 before tax. God bless Canada and the crazy high taxes. Their cost of living for their mortgage, cars, gas, insurance, cell phone, everything, right, is $65,000 a year, which is 85% of their income. 85% of people's income in Kitchener-Waterloo, not Toronto, just an everyday Ontario, good town. 85% of your income is going to your hard cost. You only have 15% left for investing, your kids' braces, your kids' dance recitals, all that, which means you have no money, right? People in Canada are struggling. Even in a major city like Kitchener, Ontario, I can't even imagine out in the boonies where people have a lower income. You're still not able to make it work. Well, same question. What's the household income in Manhattan? $132,780 after tax. Their cost of living for their expensive rent, their cars, their transportation, everything is $90,000 a year, which works out to 68% of their income. They have a higher affordability. Now, again, for dollar, yeah, the cost of the lifestyle in Manhattan is more, dollar for dollar, of course, but you're also making more money because you're in New York City. You're in the center of the world, basically. So there's higher affordability, better career, better options, slightly lower taxes, cost of food and everything is still lower than Ontario. Higher quality of life, downtown, midtown Manhattan than Kitchener, Ontario. For the Americans watching this, you've probably never even heard of Kitchener, Ontario. Why would you? Everybody on earth has heard of NYC. Higher affordability. That's insane. But it gets even worse. If I go on and on now, the next subject is taxes. This is why a lot of Americans come to Canada and quickly realize, dude, this isn't working. I'm working my ass off. I'm paying so much money to the government, which I'll get to in a second, where all that money is kind of going and what it's not being used for, and it's not working. So I asked ChatGPT again, if I make $100,000 in Ontario, after all said and done, what's my effective tax rate? 45% taxes for those who make 100 grand. Dude, 100 grand right now is like kind of the minimum. And that's top 10% of income. Most people, the vast majority of Canadians don't make over 100,000. It's still not enough in this day and age. You have to make over 100,000. But if you do, and you really go for it, and you apply yourself like a good little bee, like the government wants you to be, and you finally reach the $100,000, $120,000 a year, which is like unheard of for most people, 45% goes to taxes. Whereas if I make the same $100,000 in Florida, right, my tax rate is 22%, less than half for just doing the same thing I was doing in Ontario, let's say, but in Florida. But man, the healthcare, we give free healthcare. Is it free when you're paying 45%? There's no such thing as free healthcare. You right now, every Canadian is paying for your healthcare. You have a healthcare plan, okay? It's called the government reaching in your pocket and taking it silently. You just don't realize you're paying for a healthcare plan, but you are. And how's the healthcare? How's the service? How's the service? There's article after article. I got one here and I'll ask my editor to throw up a lot more, right? Roughly 500,000 Canadians left the ER in 2025 before seeing a doctor because they were just sick of waiting in the ER for 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. They said, fuck it. I'm going to go home with my head wound. I'd rather just bleed at home in peace and figure it out on my own. 500,000 people left the ER. There's article after of wait times taking too long. People literally dying in the ER. It takes 13 months to get an MRI booked. Like, it's getting insane. How's your healthcare plan going? You like it? You like your 23% extra percent on taxes compared to Florida? How's it going? Doug Ford is kind of trying to make this happen, but people are, protesting against them not to have it because it's not a Canadian value. It's going to make it better and alleviate pressure off of the free healthcare system. Anyway, it makes no sense. But going based on off of that, to wrap this video up, here's what's happening right now in our amazing healthcare where all of our taxpayer money goes to. Like, the vast majority of our taxes go to healthcare, and it's just shit. All right, here's a healthcare professional. I've shared this video a few times on my channel because it's gold. It's incredible because this is what's happening at a silencing level that nobody's really talking about, but this is happening more and more and more. This doctor was from Toronto and he's leaving to go to America.
I moved from a major Toronto hospital to Texas last year. It's just not making sense to stay in Canada. This hospital offered me more money. I'm now paying way less tax. This is going to happen more and more, guys.
It is going to happen more and more. Why would a doctor stay here? Think about it this way. Think about it logically. Doctors are supposed to be nice people and for the customer and for the patient. They're supposed to be all for the patient and have good values. Dude, they're human beings. And they went to school for over like 13 to 15 years for the average person, right? They went to university at age 18. Then they went to med school at age 23 for 2 years, 3 years. Then they did a 4 to 5 year residency. Then they started at the bottom and had to work their way up. They don't start making money until they're like 42, 45 years old. That's when they start making the money from all the sacrifice they went through for schooling. So all that effort, and now they're going to make, half as what I showed in a video I shared, a few videos back. Check that out on my channel too, where I broke down the income differences. This doctor made approximately 368,000 Canadian in Toronto, immediately went to Houston, I think it was, and made 405 US. So way more money when you do dollar for dollar. And cost of living in Texas is way lower. Cost of housing is cut in half from Toronto. Taxes are also around Florida rates. He's probably paying 22% taxes instead of, as a doctor in Canada, 60% taxes. Like, come on. It's just a no contest. It's no wonder why we're losing so much talent, so many good people. It's getting insane. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about all this? Is Canada becoming less desirable? Are Americans stupid for even coming here? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.